the first thing you picture in your mind's eye when someone says the word God?
For many people, when the name God is spoken, they might picture a great and blinding light around which angels hover in orbit. Other people's view may be of a grandfatherly man sitting with a benevolent smile on his face. And still others might see God as a powerful being, doling out commands and judgments from a huge throne.
Interestingly, for most, no matter how they visualize him, they'll see God as in heaven, and furthermore, not only in heaven, but more specifically stationary, sitting, watching us, and evaluating us from his safe position behind pearly gates and surrounded by his army of angels, sitting on his throne.
See, when the predominant view of God is that of a stationary dictator, whether he's a dictator that's benevolent or tyrannical, what must that do to our thinking about how he relates to us as humans?
But what if God related to humanity in an entirely different way?
What if, instead of waiting for all of us to come to recognize him and bow to him, what if God's primary character was not to sit, but to run to us?
What if we realized God spends less time sitting on a throne and more of his time sprinting from it, in pursuit of you and in pursuit of me?
Suddenly, instead of thinking of God as an angry judge just chomping at the bit to send down lightning bolts from his throne when we all fail, we'd be encouraged to think of him as a loving father in passionate and determined search of his sons and daughters.
Imagine the effect upon everyone who used to only dare darken the doors of churches, temples, high places, or basilicas. People who feel guilt, or fear, or shame, or pain. What if they began to see God as someone that was running after them in love?
What would happen if people began to see God as running to them during their ugliest moments, or meeting them in their hardest places?
What if God doesn't wait for us to just get all cleaned up, super religious, and educated to use all the religious lingo that people in places of worship throw around? What if we don't have to know all the lyrics of all the songs to become one of God's truest worshipers?
What if eloquent invocations from robed professionals behind grand pulpits inside granite halls weren't history's greatest prayers, but instead, if we discovered that the purest prayers emerged during the stumbling moments of life coming from the most broken people, and that the world's greatest confessions aren't made in booths in cathedrals, but most often in the dust along the roads of life's failures.
Well, be encouraged. We're going to stop talking about what ifs and start expressing to you why it's true. And we hope to encourage you that when we understand and we believe why God runs, it is such good news.
The good news of Easter is that God ran to us.